Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? A little A&M angling as Texas A&M becomes the most sought-after job in college football with the dismissal of Jimbo Fisher. Now, it's not because of the rich tradition and the glory. Person's going to be making $7 to $10 million a year. Whoever gets it. Now, what do? Do they go splash or soak? I'll explain the difference between splashing and soaking coming up here momentarily. Also, SEC shutout. We've got 2 weeks left to go in the regular season. Now, I'm not a big what if this, now what if, I'm not. I actually hate that stuff because it never holds true. But if the favorites win, the SEC is going to get shut out of this sucker. I'll tell you how. Coming up. And, oh baby, the A's pain. Oakland A's fans. In lieu of the Major League Baseball owners meetings, pleading their case to all the other owners in baseball. Why this is a prime example. It's not just A's fans. For fans everywhere, across the board, to understand that you have to put pressure on your elected officials to vote the way you want it. This is a good lesson for Jags fans with what the A's are going through right now, because once you try to put that toothpaste back in the tube, it's over. So the A's pain, Novocaine. I should say no Novocaine for that A's pain. How about that? I got there. Coming up. Again, Harp on Sports, the Bar. Podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, social media. Harp on Sports, the Bar, Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts under Harp on Sports, the Bar. Harp on Sports YouTube channel, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page, the Bar, and of course, harponsports.com. The A&M angle. Now we have, what? I'm counting 5 college football coaching jobs that are open that I would consider to be good jobs. A&M, if I had to rank them in order, I'd go A&M, Michigan State. Would you say Mississippi State's third? Probably. Mississippi State's third. Well, Boise State now is opened up on that next tier. Boise State. And what's our fifth? One's slipping my mind right now. Shows you how big it is. But as I look at this and how this stuff is layered, well, the fifth one's technically Northwestern. Sorry, but that's probably going to be promoted from within. He's done a nice job there, considering the mess that Fitzgerald left and where you're going. I look at this, though, with the Texas A&M thing. Oh, by the way, remember how NIL is ruining college football? $146 million in payout. $146 million in dead money to coaches. But please tell me more how NIL is ruining the game. I don't know about you, but watching Daniels perform the way he did for LSU, that's a transfer from Arizona State, right? Got my attention. Looked pretty good. Penix Jr. out at Washington. That's a transfer. Pretty good. Bo Nix transfer. Pretty good, but nonetheless, a bunch of garbage. Anybody that says NIL is ruining college football is a dipshit. So I didn't even pay attention to those people. The A&M angle is this, though. Who wants this job? What's it worth? What's it worth? If you're paying $76 million for a coach to go bye-bye, the coach coming in is going to want what? Hey, I want at least $50 million over 7 years, right? We can't pay you what Jimbo did. Okay, that's fine. But you're going to pay me half of what Jimbo got. This is the problem with a position like this. When you've got $76 million to pay somebody to go away, I know you got money. Tons of it. So what do you hire? And, when a splash hire. I've always talked about splash hires. Who splashes in pools? Kids, children, teenagers. You soak. Adults soak in the hot tub. Adults in the hot tub, kids in the pool. Adults soak, kids splash. Splash, splash. Never happens. Never works, gang. Splash hires don't work. Deion's 4-6. Splash, yeah, is it working? Not right now. Splashes aren't saviors. Soaking is saviors. Gradual building blocks. Mike Norvell's not a splash at Florida State. Gradual building block. Was Elko a splash at Duke? Nope. Gradual building block. Was Lance Leopold splash at Kansas? Nope. Gradual building blocks. So I see Elko as being the, he's a former A&M coach. That makes sense. That's not a splash either. What's the splash at A&M? Deion. But Deion would have to abandon his kids to go to A&M this year. Not going to happen. Do I see Deion after next year leaving? Sure. Deion's not going to go to a bowl game this year with his sons. He can get to 7-5, 8-4, go to a bowl game. Then do I see him leaving? You bet. You bet. But Elko's the solid soaking hire. Now, Herm Edwards came out and said, hey, man, Lane Kiffin, that's the splash. That's the flashy. Lane Kiffin. And what Lane's done at Mississippi State, he'll win this weekend, and he'll completely slap Mississippi State around. Ole Miss will go 10-2, which will be, depending on how it shakes out with LSU at the end of the year. They beat LSU. LSU's got 3 losses. A&M's probably going to end up in a major bowl game. So for the second time in 3 years, A&M will be in a marquee bowl game. What, Matt Corral and company 2 years ago? Now, he got hurt in that game and they never could recover. But taking Ole Miss to 2 major bowl games in 3 years, A&M would have handled that right. A&M would have taken that. Then you give them those resources. It's a different playing field. Lane's making $7 million a year. There's your splash. There's your splash. So what do? If you're Lane, you take that job. You bet. Ole Miss is one of those situations. I don't say he's peaked there, but getting them to 2 10-win seasons in 3 years is pretty impressive. Could he get over the hump? Nah, he never got over that Saban hump. Who really does? Brian Kelly did it. Tough to do in that conference. So, splash, dash, all those things, flashing and splashing and soaking. The other guys out there that I'm looking at that, Elko seems to be a safe, solid fit. I don't know if there's anybody out there that's going to, you try to pry a guy away from another major conference. The guy that you could go knocking on the door of is Dabo Swinney. But not really sizzling like a sausage right now. I look at the rest of the conference. Who else are you going to go get? Who else are you going to go get? You got a guy that's had some SEC success. At least he was okay at Missouri, Barry Odom. That's now at UNLV, and he's got that program turned around. There's nice pocketed guys like that. The guy at Liberty, Jamie Chadwell, who came from Coastal Carolina that went to Liberty, and he had a good run at Coastal Carolina. Now he's had a great year at Liberty. But is that the guy that's going to... The soak is Elko. The splash is Kiffin. See what they do. So there's that. I look at other jobs, the Mississippi State job too. Mississippi State's in a little bit different platform. Mississippi State needs to find itself, to me, a good, strong coach that succeeded as a head coach at a smaller level that knows how to recruit, that's young and energetic. Ole Miss kind of had it with Kiffin in a good way. Like they figured it out. Mississippi State had it figured out a little bit with Mike Leach. Now, Dan Mullen, no, that's a retread. You don't want to go down that path. Look, with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the conference, you're going to have to change your way of thinking here. There are 2 guys. I mentioned Jamie Chadwell at Liberty. The fact that he had success at Coastal Carolina, has had success at Liberty now. That's a guy that's won at 2 different places. It's a good coach. But to me, John Summerall at Troy. John Summerall is a guy that has been an assistant in the SEC in a couple different places, including Mississippi. The fact that John Summerall was an assistant at Mississippi shows me, okay, and look, he may be a guy, if Lane Kiffin leaves, he may become the next head coach at Ole Miss. So if I'm Mississippi State, John Summerall's at Troy. He's what, 8-2 at Troy? In his second year, has got Troy turned around, heading in the right direction. That's the type of guy that ends up at Mississippi State. Now, I don't know what a team like Michigan State's going to do. And Boise State, who knows what they do. If Boise State's smart, they hire Brian Harsin back. He was the head coach there. He left to take the Auburn job. Boise State, hire him back, and then you're good to go. That's what they should do. See, because it's different. It's a different pocket. Dan Mullen, Mississippi State, it's been 7 years. That ship has sailed. That's a different area now. And even in the last 2 years there at Mississippi State, he wasn't cooking like he was the previous 4. So this one, I'll take a step back and look at this. And if I'm Mississippi State, my 2 guys, John Summerall at Troy, Jimmy Chaldwell at Liberty, and we'll see what A&M does. But I have a feeling it's going to be Kiffin or Elko. Seems to make sense. Not Dion, not yet. Not yet. So those are the 4 jobs that are opened up. And I mentioned Northwestern, interim. If I had to rank them in order in terms of where you'd want to go, again, A&M's got the most money, most resources. Then Michigan State, got a lot of money, Big Ten money. It's $70, $80, $90 million a year from the network coming up. Then after that, Mississippi State. Then Boise State. Probably Northwestern, then Boise State. I don't know. Would you leave Boise State to go coach Northwestern? I don't think so. But Northwestern's above it because they're getting that new $800 million stadium. So there you go. So a little A&M angle and the rest of the dominoes fall. Now, I thought this year Clark Lay would be the first SEC coach to shuffle on off. But, 2 down. Any more that could go? Napier's not going to go. Beamer will probably get another year. Next year could be a zoo of a year, right? Because Clark Lay, Napier, Beamer, you could have a zoo. You could have a mess on your hands. Yeah. So, Mississippi State, Summerall, Chaldwell, head coaches. If I'm an SEC school, I'm not a coordinator guy. I want a guy that's run a program that's had success. Now, A&M did that. Didn't work with Fisher. Florida's done that. It ain't really worked with Napier. Georgia didn't do it with Kirby, and it has worked. But other places it works. Some places it doesn't work. Look at going out and snatching a guy that had success as a coordinator. Oklahoma. And Brent Venables. But also, Sarkisian was a head coach. It didn't work out at SC, but then he became a coordinator. Then he became a head coach again. So, depends. Depends on the program. I saw Lanning being mentioned at Oregon. He's not leaving Oregon for A&M. There's no way. Coach at Washington, you're not leaving no. Now with those schools joining the Big Ten, there's too much money involved. Okay, from that to this. The SEC shutout. I'm not a if guy. Now, what if? I'll give you one what if. Once you get to 5 what ifs, But if you go through, because all those ifs always involve major upsets. What if you just play the favorites? And I was looking at this. Okay. Florida State's going to be favored in every game the rest of the year. Okay. Florida State wins the ACC, undefeated. The Michigan-Ohio State winner is going to win the Big Ten. It's not even funny. So, the Big Ten winner's undefeated. The ACC winner's undefeated. The SEC should be Oregon's biggest fan. Alabama should root like crazy for Oregon. I guess so should Georgia. Here's why. If Washington goes undefeated and has beaten Oregon twice, and you have an undefeated Washington, an undefeated Michigan or Ohio State, and an undefeated Florida State, the SEC only shot to get is Georgia winning. If you still have the perfect scenario where you could have 4 undefeated conference champions. Georgia out of the SEC, Florida State out of the ACC, Michigan out of the Big Ten or Ohio State, and Washington. Then it's easy. Then that's easy. Easy done. Where you're what do we do scenario happens if Alabama wins the SEC? If the SEC wants a team in the college football playoff, cheer for Georgia. If Alabama upsets Georgia, I give you a 50-50 chance that the SEC is on the outside looking in. It's 50-50 just by picking the favorites. If Alabama beats Georgia, and I think the early spread on that's like 3.5. If Alabama beats Georgia, Texas wins the Big 12, what are you going to do? You're going to leave Texas out? Texas, who beat Alabama at Alabama? There's no way. Texas can win the Big 12. You're like, well, the Big 12 wasn't as good as the SEC. Fine, but we beat you at your place. Well, that doesn't, no, you can't play that game. Now, see, the problem with this is next year, none of these scenarios matter. They don't. Next year, your debate doesn't occur until the final week. What do we do if, right now, what debate would you have? Can LSU squeak in? Can Notre Dame squeak in? Your debate right now would be what? Notre Dame, LSU back there, along with Ole Miss garnering, going up against, does Ole Miss deserve to go in over Louisville if Louisville loses the ACC championship? It's like, oh my God, those are going to be your debates next year. But right now, 2 weeks to go, and this will start to shape after this weekend. Then you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel with this. It'll start to become really, really crystal clear that, oh my God, what do we do? We're rivalry week and then we're there. Yeah. And we really avoided like Oklahoma getting beat, but we really avoided the undefeated, oh my God, where did that come from upset? We really did. Oklahoma State, the last few weeks we've had, oh my gosh, oh my, look at this. They're out. Oh my, that team's out now. But you haven't had the whoa game. You haven't. Everybody up there, Louisville's got a bad loss to Pitt. So a Louisville win over Florida State. Louisville's not going to go to the playoff. Doesn't matter what everybody else does. Well, what about this nightmare scenario? I'm not going to do nightmare scenarios. What it would be is everybody with a loss. Gang, here's your, I'll let you have one. If, because it only requires one if. What if the Ohio State-Michigan winner loses to Iowa? There's your if, because they're not going to put Iowa in this sucker. I guess you could put the loser of the Big Ten title game in there. Maybe. That's the one that I don't know what you do. Everyone else is easy. Everyone's mathematical. Florida State goes undefeated, they're in. Louisville wins, they're not. Texas wins the rest of their games, they're in, as long as one of the undefeateds gets beat. So, there's where we sit. But the SEC getting shut out is a possibility. It is. If Alabama wins. Never thought you'd say that, right? Alabama winning the SEC with one loss could leave the SEC on the outside looking in. SEC can't get multiple teams this year. That's one of the most. No conference is going to get multiple teams. I don't. The only conference that has a shot at multiple teams. The Pac-12 doesn't even have a shot at it. Nobody does. One to wrap with this. One to have a little fun with this. The A's pain. And this is a good lesson, Jags fans, for what's going on in Oakland. Look, the A's are going to end up in Vegas. It's very simple as to why. The S in simple is a dollar sign. It's cash. And the fact that A's players and A's fans and the mayor have all, they're sending, well, for lack of a better term, gift baskets or boxes to the other owners in Major League Baseball with a flash drive and a plea, don't vote for this relocation. Don't vote for this relocation. Okay, I'm going to say this out loud. Think about it from the owner's perspective. So John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, the Angeloses, any owner in baseball, Steinbrenners, any owner in baseball. A's fans send you a gift box. Not our fault, not the fans' fault. If I'm an owner and I look around and go, okay, think about it from the St. Louis Rams perspective. Stan Kroenke owned the Rams when they were in St. Louis. They were the 32nd most valuable franchise in the NFL. Dead last. Now they're in the top 8. So the Rams relocating from St. Louis to LA brought up the revenue streams for all 31 other teams. So if this team moves, they no longer become a financial liability or a financial burden. They become a financial benefit to the league. So you expect Major League Baseball owners that got there because of their love of money to vote to keep the A's in Oakland and hurt their revenue? So you want me as the owner of the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Cubs, Tigers, Mets, Cardinals? You want me to vote to keep the A's in Oakland so you become less valuable and I lose money on you as opposed to make money? To keep this in layman terms, how about this? If I'm an owner, I can vote to agree to build a new business down the road that's going to make the property value of my property go up. Or I can listen to you and not vote for it and lose money. A team in Vegas, automatically, the A's are the least valuable franchise in baseball, right? Dead last. If the A's move from Oakland to Vegas, they say they'll be in the top 20 in value. So, with revenue and destinations and financial impact and gambling money, I'm an NFL owner and I can increase the value of my franchise. Instead of me paying you money every year to keep you afloat, you will now contribute and I don't have to do that anymore. Why on earth, if you were a Major League Baseball owner, would you vote to keep the A's in Oakland? It's not financially beneficial to you. It's not financially beneficial to the league. That's what's going to happen in the NFL. The NFL looks around after a while and says, build us new stadiums. We're not going to build one. Then we're just going to move you. The Rams wouldn't build a new one. Adios. Chargers didn't build a new one. See ya. Bye. The Bills, we don't know what we're going to do. Here it comes. Okay, we'll build a new one. All right. Colts, we're going to build a new one. Vikings, you're going to build a new one. The Raiders, the Rams, and the Chargers all said, no, we're not building you a new stadium. All right. City of Oakland had a decade to figure this out. They didn't do it. Tough. Now, I understand it must suck that you're going to lose the Raiders and you're going to lose the A's and the Warriors moved across the bay back to San Francisco. I get it. The A's fans' pain. I get it. I look at Jacksonville and say, you guys better vote for this stadium the first go-around. Shot will never move them. Never say the word never when it comes to... When you say billionaires are okay with losing money, say it out loud. For how long? How long? They say the A's, to the number crunching on this, will add to revenue to the league instead of costing it. Going to add revenue to the league. So the owners can be wealthier. What do NFL owners do? Do they hold out for the lowest amount? When's the last time an NFL franchise or an NFL meeting voted to not take the highest bidding rate on an NFL contract for TV rights? Come on. Same thing with baseball. What's baseball trying to do? Baseball's trying to be young, innovative. Vegas or Oakland? A's pain. Jags fans take heed of this. Don't mess around like Oakland did. I don't think they're going to. They're not. But if it were up to the people, they'd vote down the new stadium in Jacksonville. Voters would. But mayor and city council probably won't. But we'll see if the Jags learn from what happened in Oakland. Because once you get to the point where you're sending gift boxes of cookies and donuts to other billionaire owners, saying, we hope you find it in the goodness of your heart to cost yourself hundreds of millions of dollars by giving us what we want in our heart. It's too late. Game over. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports auditory route. Check us out, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports Facebook page, Harp on Sports YouTube channel, and of course, harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.